must do, the answer is clear. What we must do is bomb Iran. Okay, I'm brave enough to say it.
Morning at about 8:40, when a 2024 Tesla Cybertruck pulled into the area valet of the Trump International Hotel. Very quickly thereafter that, the driver, who was the sole occupant of the truck, we saw what looked like maybe some sort of smoke, and then the truck exploded. Smoke was coming from inside of the truck after we noticed the...
Lamau, you think they actually ended the Ultra program? They still have that going, and they do know how to mind alter? No, they don't. And they don't need to do mind altering. Do you know the average brain processing capabilities of the American citizen? Have you been outside and talked to like a regular person? You can dupe them into eating animal feces, okay? The average American can be, including this guy, like even this cop probably, could be convinced into eating a bag of dog poop, okay? I mean, here, I didn't even get to cover this yet because there's so much going on. Here are some concerned citizens talking about fog, okay? And thinking it's very different than fog.
Fucking conspiracy theorist, but I am. And so this falls in line. What the fuck is this shit?
You think that guy has to go through this like filtration process where they hand select them and then feed him a medical cocktail that is going to break his brains? Or do you think that guy can just go to the wrong forum and a federal agent can just like write a couple lines that are incredibly convincing and have that guy do whatever he wants him to do?
I'm gonna turn my flashlight on.
What is this? This is not fog.
Oh my god.
This is not fucking...
What about those chemtrails from planes in the sky? Gonna downplay that too? Downplaying UFO aircraft as drones, now CIA brainwashing, very sussy. Yes. Although virtually every organization, I'm joking, well, oh my God. Please, there are people who legitimately believe that. They think I'm a federal agent. For the record, I'm also saying there's just something that doesn't add up about this person. Okay? Like the New Orleans guy. But it's just wild that yeah, you know, I'm not gonna go here. I'm not gonna sit here and be like it's MK Ultra.
Firework mortars. What I also would like you to pay attention to on that video, as you see that, it looks like the exterior of that truck is completely intact as it sits there. The fact that this was a cyber truck really limited the damage that occurred inside of the valet.
Oh my God.
Because it had most of the blast go up through the truck and out. In fact, if you look on that video, you'll see that the front glass doors at the Trump hotel were not even broken by that blast, which they were parked directly in front of. You can see that in the video there.
Oh my God.
What I will update, I'm very well aware that there's a name already been reported out into the media. I am not going to confirm any names to you as I sit here today because I cannot do that with 100% certainty of who the individual is. What I can tell you is we do know the truck was rented in Colorado. We were able to trace that truck through the Tesla charging stations, and it arrived here in Las Vegas this morning at about 7:30 and went up and down Las Vegas Boulevard before immediately pulling into the Trump Towers. Unfortunately, there were 7 people that reported injuries during this incident. All of them still remain as minor injuries and were treated at UMC. I would like to thank the Resorts World because
Oh my
as you know,
God.
we had to close down.
Someone in the chat said, check out Temu Pelosi in the background, and that's shocking. Okay, clones are real. MK Ultra is real. They've cloned Nancy Pelosi, and they shipped her to Las Vegas to sit behind the sheriff's deputy.
Back open for business. The Trump will
We're
remain
back. I
closed
believe in
as we
every
continue
conspiracy now.
This lengthy investigation as we move forward.
I no longer believe in anything that makes sense. I will now only believe in grand conspiracies.
Also recognize all of our exceptional elected officials that have come to support the police and the fire department and this community in remaining safe. There is no further threat to the community as I sit here today. And I just want to make sure that our community understands we believe this to be an isolated incident, and it is now over as far as the danger. So, Billy?
Thank you, Sheriff. I'm going to reiterate some of the stuff that the Sheriff has spoken upon. Engine 12 did arrive within 4 minutes of dispatch, did extinguish the fire with assistance from the sprinkler systems, and along with that electric vehicle blanket that we use on those operations. We did encounter 7 victims, all stable. 2 of them were transported to UMC, who have since been released. They were transported by community ambulance. A total of 13 units from Clark County Fire with 26 personnel, and then 4 units and 17 personnel from Las Vegas Fire and Rescue assisted with this operation. We always do appreciate the support that we get from our hotel partners, as the Sheriff was mentioning with Resorts World. RTC did lend us 10 buses so we can refuge the people that were evacuated from the Trump Tower. Community Ambulance for their transportation for us, Las Vegas Fire and Rescue, and Nevada Division of Emergency Management. And we do appreciate their support, so we can't do that without them. And like the Sheriff said, last night was a huge success, but we are prepared for whatever comes our way. So thank you for that. And I will turn this over to Special Agent in Charge, Jeremy Schwartz.
Good afternoon. My name is Jeremy Schwartz. I'm currently the acting special agent in charge for the
Donuts
FBI
back
here in
on,
Las
baby.
Vegas.
That's how it is.
The FBI is currently conducting an investigation on a
I
vehicle
caught her trying to
explosion that the
lick.
sheriff
I
had
caught her
just
trying to
showed you a little
self-lick.
bit ago. That's being conducted through our JTTF, which is a Joint Terrorism Task Force. I want to make sure everybody understands that the task force is comprised of law enforcement officials from the entire valley here. We're not doing anything alone, and we wouldn't do anything alone without our partners making sure that we're all in lockstep. We've learned from...
Yeah, I saw Elon's decision to build a Cybertruck like a tank may have saved many lives in Las Vegas today. Imagine how much worse the explosion would have been for all those in the vicinity if it was any other vehicle. Like, she learned it from you. Yeah, well, do as I say, not as I do.
ISIS flag, as was seen in New Orleans. But again, we are investigating every aspect of this, and if that comes to light, we'll certainly update you. I'm sorry, sir.
What was the time between the truck's arrival and the explosion?
About 1 hour was the amount of time between the arrival of the truck here in Las Vegas, or at least our first notification of the arrival, and the explosion that occurred at the tower.
How long were you in the porte-cochere before the explosion?
It was only there for about, it was sitting in the porte-cochere for about 15 seconds before it exploded. Was that 15? Where'd Dory go? The 15 to 20 seconds. I just want to make sure I gave you the right info.
The connection of the Elon Musk, Tesla, Donald Trump connection to be interesting from an investigative perspective?
Well, I mean, it's a Tesla truck, and we know that Elon Musk is working with President-elect Trump, and it's the Trump Tower, so there's obviously things to be concerned about there, and that's something we continue to look at.
Have you all need to re-examine security procedures at hotels?
Yeah, so I'm glad you asked that question. Do we need to re-examine security procedures? You know, we were very successful in the night before. I'm surprised this happened, to be quite frank with you, and that's certainly something we're going to have to look at in target hardening, what that looks like. But to your question, Dana, I did forget to mention that I have authorized what we call an ABX roster to continue for the next 2 days, which is my New Year's Eve staffing plan of over 1,000 officers, both in our community neighborhoods as well as on the Strip and downtown, in partnership with all of the other law enforcement agencies. City of Las Vegas marshals, North Las Vegas, Henderson, just to ensure that even if we had a copycat or somebody else wanted to go up and conduct an attack, that we have the appropriate and available resources to handle it.
Have you all found any devices inside the Cybertruck that could have been used to set off those explosives?
No, the question is, did we find any devices that would be used to set off the explosives? And the answer is no, I don't know how they were ignited. Clearly, with what you see in there, something set them off, but I don't know what it was yet. We haven't been able to process the vehicle yet.
Has LVMPD been in contact with Tesla Code to get the analytics from the vehicle cameras?
Yes, actually, I have to thank.
You don't understand. Sheriffs have a very tough job, okay? He's huffing and puffing because he's currently battling heart disease. And you guys are being quite ableist, making fun of him huffing and puffing on the microphone.
From the explosion, as well as being able to capture all of the video from the Tesla charging station.
This is the most he's ever stood up. Normally, he sits inside of his cruiser, looking up porn on the computer dashboard. Okay? This is the most amount of activity he's had. He is not used to standing on his 2 feet.
Both vehicles, I'm being told, New Orleans was rented from Turo, and so was ours. That's another coincidence that absolutely is continuing to bear from our investigation that we have to continue to look into. So thank you very much. And as we get additional information for all of you, I'm sorry, I'll give you a shot.
Are investigators using any of the city license plate readers this evening?
That's the question is, are we using the license plate readers and the technology? Well, one, you see the drone flight through the vehicle because it was unsafe to get there, so that we're using that technology. Thankful to have it, as well as the first indication of that vehicle arriving here in Las Vegas came from a license plate reader. So technology has been very useful to us in resolving this. And again, I'll commit to come back to you all when we have confirmation of the suspect's name, who they are, what their background is. We will get that information back out to you. We'll call another press conference and provide it. I just like to, again, thank the mayor, the commissioners, the other law enforcement leaders, and of course our attorney general for showing up and supporting us in this event. It's been a statewide effort, and I appreciate it. Thank you.
We've been listening to a briefing from the police chief in Las Vegas, Nevada, who basically is asking the same question all of us are asking. Is the explosion of a cyber truck outside a Trump hotel in Las Vegas connected with the deadly terror attack in New Orleans that cost 15 lives and sent dozens of others for treatment? Basically, his answer is they're looking at it, that it's obviously something that crosses everyone's minds. Let me bring in Tom Winter right now, who covers law enforcement for us. Tom, let's talk about that question. What evidence is there that points in either direction here?
Sure. Well, Sheriff Kevin McMahill, who gave that...
It is crazy that both of the incidents have EV trucks that were using them, and both of the incidents used Turo to rent these EV trucks.
The common link here, Lester, is that there is a company called Turo, which basically allows you to put your car out there and make it available for somebody else to use. So it would be no different than if I had a car here in New York City and said, well, I'm leaving with the family for 2 weeks, Lester, but if you need my car, you can borrow it. This is different in that it's actually a commercial service. So it's similar to the types of vacation rental property services that are so popular out there, like Airbnb, VRBO, same type of idea that's here. It's the same company in the same type of rental that occurred in both the New Orleans incident and the incident in Las Vegas. That's the common evidentiary tie between the two. Outside of that, no law enforcement official has told myself or our colleagues here at NBC News that there's any sort of evidentiary tie between the two, other than, of course, both took place on the same day, the same date. So that's the only evidentiary.
What's my position on the Turo question? Turo is the easiest way to rent vehicles like this. If you want a unique car or an EV, that's it. If you want to do a crime and you don't have a vehicle for it, or you want a heavy vehicle that you normally can't get from like Hertz or whatever, you're going to go to Turo. That's it. It's just a peer-to-peer rental service where you can get like unique cars. I rented a Cybertruck for my son's birthday from Turo. Hang on, everyone. Hasan's doing a Turo advertisement. Yeah, it's not like a. It's like saying both incidents are connected back to people that like stayed in an Airbnb before the crime. It's no different than saying that. Or both incidents, like the suspects used Uber to get something delivered to them before. You know what I mean? That's it.
Where it was charged, where it's been, all sorts of information about what occurs inside the vehicle and the way that it's operated. It's really an investigative landmine for these individuals. Then you heard about a blanket that was used to put the fire out there, Lester. Electric vehicles generally have a reaction when firefighters apply water to them to be able to put out a fire. So in fact, what occurs is they try to put a blanket over it to suffocate the fire effectively, take away its oxygen source, and then stop the flames from going on from there. That's something that law enforcement typically uses, and apparently was what they used here to stop the fire. But to your ultimate question, are we looking at two linked events today, one involving a high-profile incident that is ISIS-inspired in New Orleans, and another involving a property that bears the name of the president-elect in a vehicle driven by one of his top advisors, frankly, at this point, if not in name, then in actuality. That's something that nobody has pointed to yet, but clearly they're asking questions about, given the fact that both of these events took place on the same day.
Okay, Tom, thanks very much. I want to turn now to Gabe Gutierrez, who's following the president, who made some remarks just a short time ago, speaking in solidarity with the people of New Orleans and updating us with some new information on the investigation. Gabe?
Well, hi there, Lester. Yes, President Biden a short time ago at Camp David addressing the public for his first lengthy remarks since the attack in New Orleans earlier today. He also mentioned that he was being briefed on that attack in Las Vegas, although he didn't share much information there. He called the attack in New Orleans a despicable attack, and he said that top officials at the FBI and the Department of Homeland Security had briefed him throughout the day. Now, Lester, as you said, one of the major questions at this point regarding the Las Vegas attack, as you said, is was it an isolated incident, and was there any connection between that Tesla Cybertruck, which that company owned by Elon Musk, and President-elect Trump, the Trump Hotel? Now, we have not heard directly from the Trump transition about that attack in Las Vegas. Eric Trump, the president-elect's son, did share a statement earlier today saying that his thoughts were with the guests of the hotel and also thanking the local police department for responding, but we have yet to hear from the president-elect himself about that incident in Las Vegas. We did hear from the president-elect, who is here in South Florida. He spent part of the day at his international golf club. Tonight, he's at Mar-a-Lago. He did comment briefly on a social media post earlier today about the incident in New Orleans, saying that his heart went out to the victims, and he pledged that his administration would go and would pledge as much support as it could to the city of New Orleans. Now, earlier, just a short time ago, again, President Biden calling this a despicable attack and saying that I grieve with you, again, striking that tone as consoler in chief. Now, Lester, the president also mentioning the detail about that ISIS flag on that truck, and just 19 days from the end of his presidency. Let's take a step back here, and the Biden administration has tried to make the case that its foreign policy has contributed to the diminishment of ISIS in the Middle East, and has also, with the fall of Bashar al-Assad in Syria, the Biden administration has tried to make the case that its foreign policy contributed to that. Now, as this investigation continues and we hear whether the suspect in New Orleans may have been ISIS-inspired, the details of this attack certainly weighing on the president, but he is cautioning that the federal investigators will look into his motive. We do not have that specifically yet. But President Biden addressing the public in his first lengthy remarks, they lasted about 5 minutes or so at Camp David just a short time ago, Lester.
All right. Thanks very much, Gabe Gutierrez. I'm going to turn back to Ken Delaney, our national security correspondent. Ken, not to belabor the point too much, but back to that explosion of a car, the cyber car in Las Vegas. What are your sources telling you about a possible connection? If only there was a general call for terror-type attacks.
That's right, Lester. So they're investigating that possibility. There are concerns about that, and as you just heard, or as Las Vegas police officers just said, too many coincidences here. The fact that this happened on the same day, but there doesn't appear to be concrete evidence linking the two events, but they are looking very hard, given the overall spate of coincidences, and as you said, the call for attacks and the concerns that ISIS ideology is resurging around the world.
Is it?
Are there questions about how far this investigation will go, where it could lead beyond just, determining the who, what, when, and where?
Look at this.
Yeah, in terms of the New Orleans attack, Lester, this is really of grave concern to the counterterrorism officials I'm talking to. It wasn't that long ago that experts and intelligence officials were saying the threat from Islamic terrorism around the world had receded. And of course, it was 5 years ago that the United States defeated the ISIS caliphate in Syria. But since then, the ISIS threat has morphed and grown more diffuse. That's the term that counterterrorism officials use. But the ideology hasn't gone away. And there continue to be ISIS-inspired attacks around the world and in the United States. But this is one of the biggest that we've seen really in the post-9/11 environment, and one of the most complex when you consider it was a vehicle-borne attack. We've seen those before. We've seen them in Germany and in New York City, of course, in 2017. But combined with the use of a gun to shoot police officers, and combined with the potential for bombs, for IEDs. That's a really complex attack that appeared to require some advanced planning. Again, they're not saying, they don't know whether this...
I think what we must do, the answer is clear. What we must do is bomb Iran. Okay? I'm brave enough to say it. The solution is clear. ISIS is having a moment. They're having a resurgence, and there's only one solution to it. It's time to invade Iran with boots on the ground.
Tough night. That concludes this NBC News special report. We'll have much more ahead on our streaming network, NBC News Now, and online.
It's crazy.